Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Richest you coming at you. Today I'm going to talk about in this video how to set smart goals in your life. So let's get right to it. How to set smart goals in your life.
I am smart. S-M-R-T. S-M-A-R-T.
What a wonderful question. How do you set goals in your life at all? Do you know that more than 90% of people in the world don't even set a chief aim for themselves? A definite chief aim, according to Napoleon Hill. So think about that. 99% of the world are upset with the 1% who actually have been successful and have all the money, and it's not fair. Yet those same 99% of people in the world don't even bother to set a goal for themselves. You should look at that as a wonderful opportunity for yourself to distinguish yourself from almost everybody else in the world. Just the fact that you're watching this video alone and you're going to have this information to be able to apply to your life is going to help immensely, because you're taking a very vital first step that 99% of the world never bothers to do. Now, here's the catch. Once you set that goal for yourself, you've really got to stick to it. So how do you create it so that you make sure you stick to your goal? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. The first step is, what is a SMART goal? A SMART goal is the acronym SMART. S is specific. M is measurable. A is achievable. R is relevant. T is time bound. So a SMART goal, it's got to be specific first. Now let's talk about that S first, because specific doesn't mean necessarily exactly what you think it means right away. There's three different ways that you can set a goal: specific, general, or by a feeling. Now, when we talk about specific with SMART goals, what we mean is, with specific is the first one, right? So that's pretty clear. You want specifically this kind of phone, this kind of cell phone with this kind of computing power and this much data plan and this kind of cellular tower reach, right? It's got to be able to reach remotely. And that specific phone and that certain model, you want this one particular company's phone and that particular model, and you want it in this particular color. That's specific. You can also be general about it in terms, well, I want a phone. It can be a nice phone, but you got to be specific in your general decision, right, of what you want generally. So you want a cell phone, but you don't care what color it is, but it needs to be an Apple or it needs to be a Samsung. But you don't really care how powerful it is. You just want a new one so that it functions better. So you still have to have some unique characteristics that you're focusing on, even in the general category. When you're talking about your feeling, the third way that you can actually set a goal for yourself, you've got to be specific in what that feeling emotes in you. Are you happy? Are you sad? How happy are you? Why are you happy? Talk about, well, if I have this phone, it'll make me feel safe. It'll make me feel like I'm connected to my family and friends in case I need help. Or if I get lost, I can use the maps function and it can get me home or to wherever I'm going and I don't have to think about it. That's the specificity we're talking about when you describe a goal by the feeling that you want. So remember, there's three ways, because I know it can be confusing. You can make your goal specific, which means you know exactly what phone, exactly what color, exactly what apps, exactly what computing power, exactly what data plan, on and on and on. Or you can make a goal general. I just want a new iPhone. I don't care what color, and I don't care exactly how much the data plan has in it. Or you can make the goal based on a feeling. My goal is to have the feeling of feeling safe and secure because I have a cell phone in my pocket with me everywhere I go. It makes me feel this way. So I don't even care what kind of cell phone it is, as long as it works and I get that feeling. Now, I hope that makes sense for the first step, because when you label it smart and you say the first letter is S and it's specific, it can be confusing when you think about the 3 different ways that you're supposed to set a goal. So the next one is measurable. That means that a goal needs to be something that you can actually have quantifiable results in your life. You can see the results and others can see it too. Sometimes with health, it can be just that you become more active, that you're smiling more often, that your skin tone takes a better color and you kind of glow and you look happy and you look like you feel good. See, that would be a measurable result. That would be something you could measure. Or if you're learning a language, well, how many words do you know in that language? That's something measurable. Or if your goal is money, guess what? You can count how much money you have. You know, it reminds me of the teachings of Abraham's, where, you know, the I don't have any money is an indicator of I don't have any money, and no money is an indicator of I don't have any money. It's very easy to measure. Now, here's why that's important. Because you'll hear a lot of people say they're really good at setting goals and achieving their goals, but they never actually measure themselves against any kind of standard. So it's extremely subjective. Now, is that really wrong? No, it's not, because really when it comes to any individual and how you live your life and what makes you feel good, more power to you. However, if you really want to find success in the world, success that others recognize as well as yourself, right? Then you need to pick goals that are measurable. You need to pick things and find ways, maybe even find ways that have never been able to measure this particular type of goal. The goal of spirituality. Well, how would you measure that? Well, how do you measure someone's spirituality? Maybe you could think of a way to measure your spirituality. Maybe by the way you act, or the way you speak, or the way you respond to stressful situations. You could measure that compared to other people. Maybe even create a rating that you say, well, you're really spiritual if you're tolerant and you're a joyous person, and you do a lot of praying and you focus and you try to help as many people as you can. You build up your own abundance, and then from your own abundance you have more than enough, so you're actually able to help others too. There's all kinds of different ways that you could measure something that others would consider a little too ephemeral or abstract. You can't measure spirituality. If you really think about it, there's a way you could actually measure spirituality. Fortunately for most folks, the first things that they go after when they're seeking success are easy things to measure, like money, like cars, like phones, like homes, like how many relationships do you have? How many networking relationships do you have? How many professional colleagues do you have? So you can see there's a lot there, but the idea is you need to make your goal something that you can keep track of by measuring it. The next step in a SMART goal is to make it achievable. Okay, so what I want to mention here is the phrase, the sweet spot. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this video may have heard of this before. So a goal that's achievable means that you are absolutely certain when you set it, you are going to be able to hit that goal. And if you remember from the other video that I did about New Year's resolutions and setting the rules in your life so that you always win, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go watch it right after this one, because it'll help in understanding what I mean when I say make a goal achievable. Achievable according to the rules that you set in your life. You are the master of your domain. You are your own king. You are your own president. You get to decide what are the laws and what are the rules that apply to me and my life, and how I think and how I focus and how I act. It's a beautiful realization once you finally have it. Now, that's what I'm talking about. You make your goal so that it's something you know you can hit. Now, here's the secret though. The sweet spot means that you know you can hit your goal, but you get excited about hitting it. So it's not so easy that you're like, yeah, what's the point? Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can pick up this book and throw it over there. Yay. What did I learn from that? See, that attitude in particular would basically shut your brain down to learning anything from any lesson. But it is a good point. So you want to make a goal enough, high enough or hard enough that you know you can hit it, but you have to really focus and put some effort in, but not too high that you look at it and it makes you feel bad. You're like, oh, I'd really like to do that, but I'll never do it. But I'd like to do it, but I'll never get there. That is completely the wrong mindset. You want to be in the sweet spot where it's just big enough that you can do it and you know you can do it, but it also gets you excited that, man, that's not that hard, but and I can do that. But when I do that, that's going to put me this much closer to the next step, which is even bigger than what I wanted before. What you're doing is you're building this new wonderful habit in the success cycle, the success cycle. And that's something I'll talk about in another video for you also. So remember, your goals should be achievable, but make sure you find the sweet spot. It's just enough that you get excited, but it's also not too big that you know you can hit it. The next step in SMART goals is the letter R, which stands for relevant. A goal needs to be relevant to you and your experience and no one else's experience. See, that's something a lot of folks don't realize. You're being programmed by your parents, by authorities, by the media, by your friends, by everybody else who has an agenda on what they think you should do with your life every day, all day long. All you got to do is look at a billboard or look at the TV or look at your phone or talk to a friend or talk to your family, and they're going to tell you what you should do, okay? They're going to tell you what makes them happy. Well, you should become a doctor. Well, you should invent a new app. Oh, well, you should become a YouTube celebrity. Everybody's doing it. You should do that. Actually, what they're telling you is what they wish they would do. They wish they had the courage or the foresight or the discipline to actually go after a new dream or a new goal. They wish they had done. They wish that they were you. How about that? So you have to be really careful that the goal you pick is something that you actually want. So I would strongly encourage you to look up something called kinesiology, which is actually also referred to as muscle testing. And here's why. Because you can't trick your subconscious. It knows what you really want because you talk to it all the time, day and night, even when you're sleeping. It knows what you're really thinking, even when you're pretending and saying other things that, oh yeah, I really want that Rolls Royce. I really want that. Your subconscious is going, no, you don't. You think that car is big and clunky. What you'd really like is a new Lexus. It's cheaper. It's just as nice to drive in. And you can take all of that money that you didn't put in the Rolls and reinvest in something else. Right? So maybe you took on the idea of wanting a really super expensive car because, well, you saw other rich people who had super expensive cars, and well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? No. What you're supposed to do is what feels best for you. You not only because you know your circumstance, but also because you actually know what you really like. Maybe you'd like an electric golf cart and to live in a town where you don't have to drive anywhere and you just go from your house to the grocery store in an electric golf cart, which is just a few blocks down the road. And guess what? It's such a small town and it's so quiet that you can drive your golf cart on the road and nobody cares, because it's not like living in a major metropolis area where there's lights everywhere and to get to anything you got to drive 20 minutes and there's traffic. Imagine that. You don't need a Rolls Royce. You just need a nice electric golf cart so that you can get back and forth to the store and over to the theater and over to the bowling alley. And hey, that sounds pretty good to me, especially if that's what you really want. So that's what relevant means. Don't let the programming from everybody else in the world affect how you really feel about your goals. When you set your goal, muscle test with kinesiology and make sure it's really your goal and not somebody else's that they convinced you to take on. The T in SMART goals is for time frames or time bound on the goals. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether a timeline for a goal is a good idea or not. Now, here's the wonderful secret that I get to share with you in this video about setting goals and time frames. It's all up to you. If you feel good setting a time limit for yourself to hit your goal, go for it. If you don't feel good setting a time limit for yourself on getting your goal, don't do it. It's really that simple. Because remember, how you feel, how you think is everything. And when it comes to a goal and you thinking about it, you have to get excited. You have to feel good about it or you won't do it. I promise that this is the truth. I've found this to be true. I've heard from other people it's true. I've seen studies on it. I've read books on it. I've seen videos about it. Timelines only work if you feel good about it yourself. So don't bother with one if you don't feel good about it. Okay, so now you know what a SMART goal is. Now I'm going to tell you the 3 things that you need to do to make sure that you follow through on your SMART goals. The first thing you need to do absolutely with every goal that you take on and are serious about accomplishing is to write it down. Write it down repeatedly. Put it on little pieces of paper. Put it in front of you on your mirror, in your car, when you go to bed. Put it in your book. When it's on your phone, at the top of your phone. Everywhere your eyes go, you need to have your goal written down. Then I would encourage you to even go a step further and write it down each night before you go to bed on a piece of paper 10 times. Write it out as a sentence. I want this particular type of phone 10 different times every night before you go to bed. And you watch what happens. The next suggestion I would make to you for achieving your SMART goal is to hold yourself accountable. You can't expect anybody else to sit on top of you. And even if you hire a coach, it's up to you to actually listen to the coach. Yes, they're going to be pestering you, but that could turn into resentment on your part if you don't hold yourself accountable. You actually have to want to follow through and make your goal happen. It's all about you. So hold yourself accountable to actually achieving that goal. The last and best part, as far as I'm concerned, is make sure you reward yourself, even for little steps when you're getting closer and closer to your goal. Maybe your goal is to read 1 book each month for all 12 months of next year. But you know you don't have that kind of time. You have a family, you have a job, you have 3 jobs, you don't have enough money, you can't even buy the books. Maybe you go to the library and you get 1 book and you decide, you know what, instead I'm going to find my sweet spot. I'm going to set the rules so that I win every time, and I'm going to read 1 sentence a week. That way, if I do more, then I'm over, right? And so then I can change it if I want to. And I can even say, if I don't have time to read that 1 sentence, then fine, I can skip a week because I make the rules, right? So when you read that sentence each week, reward yourself. Take a nap or give yourself a cookie or maybe even take yourself out for a lunch at your favorite restaurant. Something that really makes you crave going and reading those sentences each week or maybe even reading more. Now what you're doing is you're programming your brain to enjoy the activity, to enjoy the habit. Program yourself by rewarding yourself and making it a positive experience. So there you go, SMART goals, the perfect way for everyone to actually conquer the challenge of finding the right goal and then sticking to it and achieving those goals. Remember something, the more you set these goals and the more you get yourself in the success cycle, the more you'll have the habit of just winning in general. And then your goals get bigger, your confidence gets bigger, you get stronger and better at dreaming, and that's a whole nother video altogether. So use the SMART goal system and remember to follow through. It's all about the way you feel. If it makes you feel good and that works for you, then absolutely do it that way. Even refine it, tweak it, and then when you do, write in the comments down below and let me know what you did and what happened. I'd love to hear your story. All right, so also, if you're interested, or anyone watching this video is interested in learning more about mastering money, we have this wonderful course I'd like to tell you about. It's the Richest You Mastering Money. Make sure you check out the link down below in the description. If you liked this video, please be kind and give us a thumbs up. And then, of course, if you'd like to hear when we have new videos coming out, please click to subscribe. You know how much we would appreciate it. I really hope you got a lot of value out of this video, and I can't wait to do another one for you as soon as possible. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in.